Imagine a nation born from rebellion, and the men, so far, all men, who stepped up to steer it. We start with George Washington, born in 1732 on a Virginia plantation along Pope's Creek, raised amid tobacco fields and frontier surveys. He never sought the spotlight, yet from 1789 to 1797, he became the steady hand that shaped a raw republic, forging a neutral path abroad, building the first cabinet, and walking away after 2 terms when power could have been his forever. Folks saw him as larger than life, the indispensable man whose quiet dignity still echoes on every dollar bill. Then came John Adams, born in 1735 in Braintree, Massachusetts, growing up in a modest Puritan home filled with books and hard work. From 1797 to 1801, this sharp-tongued lawyer turned president navigated a young nation through tense times with France, building up the Navy while dodging full war. People split hard on him. Some admired his principles, others grumbled he acted too much like a king. History remembers him as the prickly founder who defended the right things even when unpopular, dying on the same day as his old rival Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson followed, born in 1743 at Shadwell, Virginia, raised on a sprawling plantation where he soaked up Enlightenment ideas and mastered the violin. Serving from 1801 to 1809, he doubled the country's size with the Louisiana Purchase and dreamed of a nation of independent farmers, though his trade embargoes left merchants fuming. Adored by many as the voice of liberty, criticized by others for contradictions he lived with, he's forever the Declaration's author, the architect of ideals that still pull at the nation's heart. James Madison, born in 1751 in Port Conway, Virginia, and raised in the rolling hills of Orange County with a top-notch Princeton education, took the helm from 1809 to 1817. Small in stature, but huge in intellect, he led through the War of 1812, watching the White House burn, then helped rebuild stronger institutions. The country rallied around him by the end, hailing the father of the Constitution, who proved the young republic could survive a real fight. James Monroe, born in 1758 in Westmoreland County, Virginia, grew up toughened by revolutionary battles. From 1817 to 1825, he presided over the so-called era of good feelings, warning Europe to stay out of the Americas with his famous doctrine and stitching together compromises on slavery's spread. Everyone seemed to like him then, unopposed for re-election, but the calm masked brewing storms. He's remembered as the last of the revolutionary generation, a bridge to a bigger, bolder country. John Quincy Adams, born in 1767 in Braintree, Massachusetts, was raised globe-trotting as his father's diplomatic shadow. In office from 1825 to 1829, after a messy, corrupt bargain election, he pushed for roads, canals, and universities, but Congress blocked most of it. Seen as aloof and intellectual, he lost big in the next vote, yet he bounced back in the House, fighting slavery until his last breath. History's quiet reminder that greatness doesn't always come in the Oval Office. Andrew Jackson westward on a tragic trail and crushed nullification threats. The common folk idolized him as their champion. Elites and the displaced despised him. Old Hickory left a mark as the man who made democracy feel personal and paid a heavy human price for it. Martin Van Buren, born in 1782 in Kinderhook, New York, grew up in a Dutch-speaking tavern family. Serving 1837 to 1841, he inherited an economic crash and tried to weather it with an independent treasury, but voters blamed him anyway. Nicknamed the Little Magician for his political savvy, he founded the modern democratic machine, yet the panic turned him into Van Ruin. History sees him as clever but unlucky, the first president not born British. William Henry Harrison barely got started, born in 1773 in Charles City County, Virginia, raised in elite circles before military fame. In 1841, he delivered the longest inaugural speech ever in pouring rain, caught pneumonia, and died after 31 days. A hero of Tippecanoe became the shortest presidency, a cautionary tale about catching a chill for the sake of oratory. John Tyler stepped up, born in 1790 in the same Virginia county as Harrison, raised as a planter's son. From 1841 to 1845, he annexed Texas and clashed with his own party so badly they expelled him. Called His Accidency, he was the first vice president to take over fully, setting a precedent while earning few friends. Later siding with the Confederacy, his legacy is tangled in controversy. James K. Polk, born in 1795 in Pineville, North Carolina, moved young to Tennessee's frontier. From 1845 to 1849, he methodically added vast territory. Oregon settled, California and the Southwest seized in war with Mexico, then kept his promise to serve only one term and died soon after. Driven and effective, he fulfilled Manifest Destiny's wildest dreams, though at the cost of blood and future division. Zachary Taylor, born in 1784 in Virginia, but raised in Kentucky, was a career soldier nicknamed Old Rough and Ready. Elected in 1849, he died in 1850 after barely a year. possibly from bad cherries. He opposed slavery's spread into new lands, helping set up the Great Compromise. A military hero, cut short, he's remembered more for what he might have done than what he did. Millard Fillmore, born in 1800 in a log cabin in Moravia, New York, rose from poverty through sheer grit. Taking over in 1850 to 1853, he signed the compromise that delayed civil war and sent ships to open Japan. Quiet and unremarkable, he later joined the anti-immigrant know-nothings. History shrugs at him as the filler who bought time at a steep moral price. Franklin Pierce, born in 1804 in Hillsborough, New Hampshire, grew up in a political family. From 1853 to 1857, he watched Kansas bleed over slavery thanks to his own legislation, adding a bit more land in the Southwest. Handsome but haunted by personal tragedy, he left office broken and unpopular, a president whose choices accelerated the nation's fracture. James Buchanan, born in 1791 in Cove Gap, Pennsylvania, was raised comfortably. From 1857 to 1861, he dithered as states seceded, doing little to stop the slide into war. Widely seen as weak and pro-Southern, he's often ranked at the bottom. The bachelor who let the Union crack is a stark lesson in inaction's cost. Abraham Lincoln, born in 1809 in a Kentucky log cabin, moved through Indiana and Illinois frontiers, self-taught and rail-splitting. From 1861 to 1865, he preserved the Union through civil war, issued the Emancipation Proclamation, and pushed the 13th Amendment before an assassin's bullet ended him. Revered in the North as the great emancipator, vilified in parts of the South, his martyrdom made him a symbol of unity and human freedom that still towers. Andrew Johnson, born in 1808 in Raleigh, North Carolina, rose from tailor to Tennessee politician, succeeding Lincoln in 1865 to 1869. He clashed with Congress over Reconstruction, got impeached, but acquitted, and favored quick Southern readmission. Hated by radical Republicans, he's remembered as the stubborn holdout who nearly unraveled Lincoln's gains. Ulysses S. Grant, born in 1822 in Point Pleasant, Ohio, grew up in small-town Georgetown. From 1869 to 1877, the Civil War hero enforced Reconstruction, passed the 15th Amendment, and battled the KKK, but scandals swarmed his administration. Admired for honesty personally, tarnished by cronies, he's the general who won the war and tried to win the peace. Rutherford B. Hayes, born in 1822 in Delaware, Ohio, took office in 1877 to 1881 after a disputed election sealed by compromise. He ended Reconstruction, pulled troops from the South, and started civil service reform, called Rutherford by angry Democrats. He's seen as the man who traded justice for peace and maybe set the stage for Jim Crow. James A. Garfield, born in 1831 in Ohio's Orange Township, rose from canal boy to scholar soldier. In 1881, he promised reform, but was shot after 6 months and died slowly. A bright light snuffed out too soon. His death spurred civil service changes. Chester A. Arthur, born in 1829, likely Vermont, became the surprise reformer from 1881 to 1885 after Garfield's death. He modernized the Navy, passed the Pendleton Act, cleaning up patronage, and defied expectations. The dapper ex-machine man who surprised everyone positively. Grover Cleveland, born in 1837 in Caldwell, New Jersey, grew up in upstate New York, first from 1885 to 1889, then again 1893 to 1897, the only non-consecutive terms. He vetoed lavishly, fought for lower tariffs, and crushed the Pullman strike. Honest to a fault, blamed for depression in his second go. He's the stubborn bachelor who married in the White House and left a record of integrity. Benjamin Harrison, born in 1833 in North Bend, Ohio, served 1889 to 1893 between Cleveland's terms. He passed the Sherman Antitrust Act and spent like a billionaire Congress. Seen as aloof, the grandson of a president is remembered for high tariffs and quiet competence. William McKinley, born in 1843 in Niles, Ohio, led from 1897 to 1901. He won the Spanish-American War, acquired overseas territories, and kept tariffs high before assassination at a fair. Popular in his time, he's the bridge to empire and the start of America's global step. Theodore Roosevelt, born in 1858 in New York City, overcame asthma through sheer will. From 1901 to 1909, he busted trusts, conserved millions of acres for parks, dug the Panama Canal, and spoke softly with a big stick. The energetic Rough Rider became a legend of vigor and conservation. William Howard Taft, born in 1857 in Cincinnati, Ohio, followed from 1909 to 1913. He busted more trusts than TR, but alienated progressives with his caution. The hefty former judge later became Chief Justice, history's only man to hold both top jobs. Woodrow Wilson, born in 1856 in Staunton, Virginia, raised in the South, served 1913 to 1921. He created the Federal Reserve, led into World War I for democracy, and pushed the League of Nations, though America never joined. Idealistic, but stubborn, his stroke-head in final years left a mixed legacy of progress and segregation. Warren G. Harding, born in 1865 in Blooming Grove, Ohio, promised normalcy from 1921 to 1923 before dying in office, amid scandals like Teapot Dome. Folks liked him alive. Revelation soured the memory of the affable Ohio editor. Calvin Coolidge, born in 1872 in Plymouth Notch, Vermont, took over and won election, serving to 1929. Silent Cal presided over booming prosperity with hands-off economics and tax cuts. Quiet and frugal, he's the symbol of roaring 20s restraint. Herbert Hoover, born in 1874 in West Branch, Iowa, raised in Oregon and California, faced the 1929 crash from 1929 to 1933. The engineer tried public works, but got blamed for the Depression. Hoovervilles told the tale. humanitarian turned scapegoat, Franklin D. Roosevelt, born in 1882 in Hyde Park, New York, overcame polio to serve 4 terms from 1933 to 1945. He launched the New Deal to fight depression, led through World War II, and reshaped government's role forever. Loved as savior by millions, feared as overreacher by others, FDR became the century's defining leader. Harry S. Truman, born in 1884 in Lamar, Missouri, raised in independence, stepped up in 1945 to 1953. He dropped atomic bombs to end the war, launched the Marshall Plan, integrated the military, and fought in Korea. Plain-spoken underdog who grew into the Cold War's architect. Dwight D. Eisenhower, born in 1890 in Texas, but raised in Abilene, Kansas, served 1953 to 1961. The WTF general built interstates, ended Korea, and warned of the military-industrial complex. Grandfatherly and steady, Ike kept the peace and built modern America. John F. Kennedy, born in 1917 in Brookline, Massachusetts, brought youth and glamour from 1961 to 1963. He stared down missiles in Cuba, raced to the moon, and inspired a generation before Dallas cut it short. Camelot's king lives on in myth and memory. Lyndon B. Johnson, born in 1908 in Stonewall, Texas, took over and won big in 1963 to 1969. He passed civil rights laws and Great Society programs like Medicare, but Vietnam swallowed his legacy. Master legislator whose ambition outran his caution. Richard Nixon, born in 1913 in Yorba Linda, California, served in 1969 to 1974. He opened China, created the EPA, but Watergate forced resignation. Brilliant. Gerald Ford, born in 1913 in Omaha, but raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan, healed wounds from 1974 to 1977 with a controversial pardon. The accidental president steadied the ship after the storm. Jimmy Carter, born in 1924 in Plains, Georgia, served 1977 to 1981. He brokered Camp David peace but struggled with energy crises and hostages. Honest farmer-turned-prez found greater acclaim post-office as a global humanitarian. Ronald Reagan, born in 1911 in Tampico, Illinois, raised in Dixon, led 1981 to 1989. The actor-turned-governor cut taxes, rebuilt the military, and helped end the Cold War. Teflon charisma made him an enduring conservative icon. George H.W. Bush, born in 1924 in Massachusetts, raised in Connecticut, served 1989 to 1993. He won the Gulf War and signed the ADA, but recession and a broken tax promise cost him re-election. The patrician W-2 vet bridged eras gracefully. Bill Clinton, born in 1946 in Hope, Arkansas, presided over 1993 to 2001. Boom times, welfare reform, and NAFTA marked his years, though impeachment over personal scandal shadowed it. The comeback kid with endless charm left surpluses and divisions. George W. Bush, born in 1946 in Connecticut, but Texas-raised, served 2001 to 2009. Post 9/11, he launched wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, passed education reform, then faced a financial meltdown. Polarizing figure whose resolve defined an era. Barack Obama, born in 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii, with roots in Indonesia and Chicago, led 2009 to 2017. He passed healthcare reform, killed bin Laden, and navigated recovery. First black president inspired hope while facing fierce opposition. Donald Trump, born in 1946 in Queens, New York, served 2017 to 2021, then returned 2025 onward. Tax cuts, trade wars, border focus, and massive disruption marked his style, loved by supporters, reviled by critics. The deal-maker who shattered norms twice over. And so the story rolls on, each leader a chapter in a messy, remarkable tale of a nation forever reinventing itself.